Hello everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S24 and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S10e and see which particular phone is a better one for you. Now, I will definitely tell you between both these devices, there's a lot of differences between them, but I will still tell you that when it comes down to both, the Galaxy S24 is by far the better one, but the S10e was still a very interesting device when it first came out. So, if you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now starting off on the outside, the Samsung Galaxy S10e on the front has a 5.8-inch dynamic AMOLED display. And it was a pretty good panel. Even when you're still looking at it over the camera, it's still a pretty good, sharp panel. It's 1080p, 60Hz, but still a good panel. Hole punch display in the top right corner. And I still think this phone looks very good. You have a little bit of bezel around it, the earpiece at the top and everything. It's like a little bezel, but it's not anything crazy. And I still think it's a very good looking panel nonetheless. I think Samsung did a great job with the S10e, and I wish they did make more of these smaller Samsung phones, but regardless, this one's still a very good looking one, without a doubt. The Galaxy S24 is definitely the better panel in every single way. This one has a bigger 6.2-inch dynamic LTPO AMOLED display. This is a very good looking panel from Samsung. I think they did a really good job with this particular phone. It's 1080p as well, but it is 120Hz. So this automatically by default is the better phone here in every single way. And that's just kind of what happens. When you're getting a device like this, you're definitely going to be getting a better device in every single way on something like the Galaxy S24 than on the Galaxy S10e. So just kind of keep that in mind in the back of your head as well. For the rest of the bodies though, you can kind of see what's going on here as well, because Samsung did change the way the styling was for years after the Galaxy S10e. So on the side you can see that the S10e and the S10s looked like this. The S24 now has this more modern design with its flat side to it. I definitely miss the reflective material, but I would definitely say the Galaxy S24 probably feels more modern and feels like the more premium one when it kind of comes down to it. The top doesn't really have anything crazy going on. The bottom, you do have a few things going on. You have USB Type-C ports with Samsung DeX, which is crazy. You have a headphone jack on the S10e, and you have a microSD card slot on the Galaxy S10e as well. That's some really cool stuff to have inside of that phone. The microSD card slot in and of itself is such an amazing thing to have. We are missing that on the S24 and basically every phone after the S21, but it was still nice to have on something like the Galaxy S10e. On the backside, dual camera setup on the S10e, triple camera setup on the Galaxy S24. You are getting glass backs on both, but they're slightly different. The Galaxy S24 has this frosted glass back, which feels and looks very premium. That's something I love a lot about this particular phone. The Samsung Galaxy S10e essentially has this, standard glass back. So that is something I like a lot about the S10e. If I'm looking at phones and if I'm comparing them all, I definitely like the way the S10e feels. I like it a lot. There's not that much to complain about. But the Galaxy S24 is substantially more premium feeling than the Galaxy S10e, which is something I like a lot about that particular device. So when it comes down to it, those are some really big things to kind of keep in mind there. Now in terms of software and longevity, this is another interesting thing. So when it comes down to both, they're both on One UI, they're both on Android. The Galaxy S10e, unfortunately, is kind of done getting full software updates. So you're still getting some security updates here and there, as you can see on my phone, I'm getting a security update right now that's downloading. But for the most part, you are pretty much limited, I would say, for the most part, of a lot of different things that you're going to be getting for the future of your S10e. And that's why I look at a phone like the S10e, and I'm just I don't know if this would be the one I'd recommend most people to buy, because it's already done getting software updates. It's on Android, 12 right now. That was 2 versions of Android ago. We're already on Android 14. That's why this one is a little bit tricky for me to recommend. That's why a phone like the Galaxy S24 is a better phone in every way, including that software standpoint, because you're going to be getting a longer lasting phone in this one than the S10e. And this one's giving you 7 years of software updates. And that is crazy. So that's another big advantage for a phone like the S24 over the S10e. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both these phones. The S24 has that Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset inside with 8 or 12 gigs of RAM. This one has 8. With the S10e has that Snapdragon 855 chipset with 6 or 8 gigs of RAM. This one has 6. So let's go and see which one's a faster phone between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out here. All the apps are not cleared out here. So now they're cleared out. So let's get into it. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. Okay, camera 3, 2, 1. I think the S24 so far has been faster, but the S10e still has been doing really good so far, which is pretty crazy. Coming out of here, let's get into Play Store 3, 2, 1. Okay, this one's checking info, which is very strange. Let's go and just hop out of these two then. Galaxy Store 3, 2, 1. I don't even know if this one has Wi-Fi, if I'm being honest. Oh, it actually does. And so far, I will be honest, the S10e is still doing really good right now. Messages 321. Okay, so far, like pretty good on both, if I'm being honest. BOFA 321. So the S10e did kind of was a little bit slower there, but again, not even that big of a deal. Snapchat, I don't even have. Quizlet, I do have 321. So a little bit slightly slower on something like the S10e on the compared to the S24, but even that's like not even that big of a deal. Snapchat 321. Slight differences, but kind of the same thing. Let me go and get into some other apps here too that we have. So we have things like Clock 321. More or less the same thing, not that big of a difference. Contacts 321. Kind of the same thing too. So there's actually lots of overlap here. Let's go into the photos or gallery 321. So there are like some slight differences, but I do think like going through the whole entire UI, it's still actually fairly fast on both, as you can kind of tell. There's really not like that big of a difference here. Getting into game launcher though, I do want to go and play like 1 or 2 games just to kind of open them up. I hate going into game launcher every time, but it's like no other choice. Snake vs Blocks 321. And this one's again not even that big of an intensive of a game, but it's still like kind of good to test. Actually, it looked like S24 glitched up there, but regardless, basically the same kind of thing, so not even that big of a difference here. Getting into game launcher again, let's go into stack 321. And this one is, I don't even know which one was faster here. I was kind of like looking all over the place. Hopping onto this one, Gaming Hub, we can get into Temple Run 2, which I do not have, which is very, very unfortunate. Oh, I do have it 3, 2, 1. 2 different icons means there are 2 different versions, but this raw game is still about the same thing. And you can actually see the Galaxy S10e was actually slightly faster here than the S24. Again, this one's on an older version of the game than the S24, so just kind of keep that in mind. But I will tell you, for the most part, between both, you are probably getting an overall faster phone in every single way on the S24 than the S10e. There really isn't a big of a reason why the S10e is faster. It was like faster like one time. Most of the other time the S24 is faster, but the S10e was still very close within it, which makes this phone even more of a legend in a lot of different ways. So that kind of covers it up there. Now on the camera side of things, like I mentioned before, triple camera setup on the S24, dual camera setup on the S10e. I will definitely tell you when it comes down to both, very good sensors on both. You have 4K at 60 on the front and the back on both, but the S24 is giving you 8K capability on the back, and it's giving you that telephoto lens. Automatically, like by default, I think the S24 is the better camera when it comes down to it. I think the camera on the S10e was still like very decent. Like when this phone first came out, it was very good, mostly because it was like it was the dual camera setup, and it was a smaller version of the S10. So you're getting 0.5x here. I think you're getting 8x zoom on the inside. So still very good. Like that's still a respectable amount of like zooming in and zooming out that you have, which is still very good. And you're still getting lots of features like live focus video, single take. I don't really understand the names they had back then. You're still getting like photo mode and like some other stuff here. Like it's still a very decent camera, but it's nothing really compared to the S24. The S24 is a substantially better camera. This one's like just maxing out in every single way that you can kind of think about. So you're getting 0.6x zoom here, you're getting 30x zoom. That's a massive amount of zooming in and zooming out just right there, which is really cool. And beyond that, you're getting portrait mode, you're getting portrait video, photo mode, video mode, and under more, you're getting a lot more options as well. This is a really cool thing that I love seeing on these particular devices, and I'm a massive fan of something like the Galaxy S24 because it has just one of the best cameras this year, and most of the phones haven't even came out this year, but this one I already know is going to be top tier. So to kind of sum it up, what I'll definitely tell you is I definitely do think a phone like the Samsung Galaxy S24 is the better phone in every single way. You're getting better battery life, better performance, better capability, just everything is so much better across the board here, and I love this phone a lot, and it is the better phone over the S10e. I think the S10e was worth it maybe last year, but I don't know if this would be the one I'd look at buying, but there's a lot of phones in between these that are also worth it. Phones like the S21, S21 Plus, S22, S22 Plus. Those types of phones are cheaper, older than the S24, and they're better than this one, and they're more expensive than this one, but they're better options than this one, I would say. So that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.